What would be your reaction if I told you I was going to a football match at Chelsea this afternoon?
I'd say it was typical of your unbounded selfishness and your total lack of consideration for me.
Yes. I thought it might be something like that. And of course you're quite right. I was a swine to even think about it.
Don't try to be cynical, David. It doesn't become you.
Sorry. Is it all right if I breathe?
I see. It's going to be that sort of a weekend, is it?
Now, let's face it, it's been that sort of a week. You haven't spoken a civil word to me since we drove back from the Pattersons' housewarming on Tuesday night.
I am so glad that the evening has left its mark.
Left its mark? I thought it had given you laryngitis.
Since you spent the entire evening ogling at Sue Dawlish.
I did not ogle at Sue Dawlish.
When I say you ogled, you ogled. You were constantly filling up her glass, lighting her cigarette. You lent her your handkerchief when she knocked her drink over, and you kept up a conversation that seemed to get more intimate every time you passed her the gherkins.
All right. You want to fight? Let's have one. I'm ready.
Oh, really? You're the most insensitive beast I've ever... Now, I wonder who this is.
One way to find out, dear.
Well, perhaps you'll put your theory into practice, dear.
Yes? Harry!
David!
Come in, it's good to see you.
And it is good to see you. Do you know how long it's been since we last met?
A lifetime.
12 years, 10 months, 2 weeks and 3 days.
What? I haven't seen you since the wedding.
That's right. It's almost to the hour since I was standing by your side in that church, fumbling in my pocket for the wedding ring, hoping I hadn't left it at home on the sideboard.
You hadn't left it on my sideboard, had you?
No, I'd lost it altogether. You know, I can't figure out how I came to be your best man.
I can. You couldn't get Larry Simpson sober in time.
Larry Simpson. Well, never mind. We got you married in the end.
Yeah, she did that all right.
Yeah. How's the sweetest little woman in the world?
Who?
Sheila.
Oh, she's fine. She's in the kitchen. Come through.
Ah, thank you.
Darling, it's Harry.
Who?
Harry!
Oh,
Ah, it's wonderful to see you.
Darling, you've just been working it out. You know, it's exactly 12 years, 10 months, 2 weeks and 3 days since I made an honest woman of you.
Really? It's a pity Harry doesn't come more often. You might manage to remember our anniversary.
Do you know, I can remember your wedding day so vividly. I can see myself now driving you to the station to put you on the train for your honeymoon. Scotland, wasn't it?
Yes. We had to pull the communication cord.
Yeah, I don't know. I got you on the train for Brighton.
We were far too happy to notice that day.
How time flies.
It certainly does.
Well, sit down, Harry.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I suppose it would come as a bit of a shock to you.
What would?
Me getting married.
Are you really?
You're not.
Well, this is wonderful news, Harry. Who's the lucky girl?
Well, did you get my letter?
No. Did you send one?
No.
Come on, Harry, don't keep us in suspense. Do we know her?
Oh, I don't think so. She's from Paris, you see. We've been sort of pen friends.
How romantic.
Yeah.
So you've fallen in love by correspondence?
More or less, reading between the lines.
Isn't that a bit risky?
Nonsense. It's just like a fairy story. But tell us how it happened, Harry.
Well, now, we've been corresponding for about 10 weeks, writing the usual everyday stuff, like when they're going to make a start on the Channel Tunnel, how tall the Eiffel Tower is. When out of the blue, I got this letter from her saying she'd like to come to England and get married. And I, never thinking for one moment she meant me, I wrote back saying how interested I was. So we're getting married. David, would you return the compliment and be my best man?
Well, quite frankly, old man,
You'd be delighted, wouldn't you, dear?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Great honour. But when exactly are you walking the plank? Getting married?
Well, as soon as we can make all the arrangements, and I would appreciate help, because, well, I'm an absolute beginner at this sort of thing.
Just what my morale needed. A lively, colourful wedding to arrange. You'll stay for lunch, of course.
No, thank you, Sheila, but I've so many things to attend to.
Well, then I'll make some coffee. David, don't you let him go. I want to hear lots more about all this.
Well, would you believe it? I forgot to give her these flowers.
You will forget the flowers.
I've only just remembered them.
You will forget them again. Look, Harry, I don't like to be the one to spread gloom and despondency, but I must have a little talk to you very seriously.
What's the matter, David? Is it trouble?
Harry, I'm trying to give you the benefit of my experience.
Yes, and I appreciate the one or two things I'm not sure about the wedding. For instance, Is the husband expected?
What the husband is expected to do would fill a public library. But look, Harry, think. You're getting married. You're giving up your freedom. And that's not all. You're sacrificing yourself to a woman you haven't even met. I mean, have you exchanged photographs?
Well, we've gone halfway towards it.
How do you mean?
Well, I've sent her one of me.
She hasn't sent you one of herself.
Well, no, well, she couldn't find one suitable.
Marvellous. So for all you know, she could be 18 stone, double chins, with a face like a cabbage.
I don't think so, David. I'm sure she would have mentioned it. After all, I told her about the mole on my right thigh.
Harry, this isn't a blind date you're going on. This is marriage. This is forever. Summed up in those immortal words, till death us do part. And after the first 10 years are over, you realise whose death it's going to be.
It's all right, David. This is love. And love isn't a dirty word. It can't be. I've never heard it on television.
Well, I've done my duty by my fellow man. I've tried.
Now then, Harry, what's her name? And when are we going to be able to meet her?
Well, as far as I can make out from her handwriting, it's Francoise Lamont. Well, that's who I've been writing back to, and she's never complained. Thank you. She's arriving this afternoon by boat train.
How exciting.
I'm still to find out which station she's coming in at.
It'll be Victoria if she's coming from Paris.
Well, why not ring up, darling? Just confirm it. Here, take your coffee with you. Where is Francois staying until you're getting married? Or is that an indiscreet question?
Oh, dear me, dear, no, I hadn't given that a thought. I don't suppose it would be right for me to take her home with me until after we're married, would it?
Well, I'm not sure. The French have such outdated ideas.
Yes, but I'm English, and you know what we are.
Harry, I've just had an idea. Why can't she stay here with us?
Here?
Why not? We've got a perfectly good spare bedroom, and I just adore to help her pack her trousseau.
Well, if you're sure it would be no trouble.
I'd love it.
Well, that's marvellous. That means I can go straight round and see the vicar from here.
Will you need a special license?
No, I'll go round to the vicarage and ring his bell. Now, we're only having a quiet affair. Have you any brilliant ideas as to where we can hold the reception?
Let me think.
Victoria Station.
Oh, I didn't think they did them.
No, David means where the train comes in.
Yes, I know, but won't it be a bit noisy? See, I was thinking of a small pub. There'll only be about 8 of us.
What's he talking about?
I'm trying to think of somewhere to hold the reception.
Oh, why not have it prepared yourself for what's to come and have it at Pentonville?
That isn't funny, dear.
Well, who's laughing? Which part of the station are you meeting this mysterious mademoiselle?
Well, I said in my letter I'd wait in the waiting room, which seemed fair. Which reminds me, I better get round there, hadn't I? If I'm going to meet her at Waterloo.
Victoria.
Francoise.
But you're meeting Francoise at Victoria Station.
I am indeed. What a good thing you told me. We could have finished up with a long engagement. Well, thank you for the coffee, Sheila.
You're very welcome. We'll
Yeah.
see you later.
Indeed. And thank you, David, for promising to be my best man. It'll really make my day. All I've got to do now is to find someone to give the bride away.
Yeah, wait until you've seen her. You might decide to give her away yourself.
Oh, what a charming man.
It's all right, Sheila. He means well. Just do your best to keep him sober when the time comes. Well, I'll see you around 5 o'clock.
Oh, just a minute, Harry. You're going without your flowers.
Oh, dear. You'd have to get my head if it wasn't attached to my neck. Well, as I said, 5 o'clock.
Did you have to get quite so bitter and twisted?
Did you have to behave as if you were on 10% of the marriage license?
I just happen to be firmly of the opinion that Harry needs a woman's guiding hand.
You better go and give him one. He's just remembered those flowers are for you.
Excusez-moi, êtes-vous Mademoiselle Francois Lamont?
Alors, laissez les bagages là.
J'attends ton ami. Un moment.
How do you do?
Mon fille et mon gendre ce m'attendant. Et pour leur chauffeur.
I'll have to check my phrase book.
Ah, cœur de mon cœur, it is you.
I say, do you mind?
No, not at all. I adore it. It is good to see you, how you say, in the flesh.
Pardon me, you're making a mistake. I waited to meet my fiancée.
There is no mistake. I recognize you anywhere. You are my Harry.
You mean you are actually... No. It isn't possible.
Yes, I am your Françoise and you are my Harry.
You are Francoise Lamont?
But of course.
Well, who would have thought you would turn up? Who would have...
You are disappointed in your Françoise?
Oh, no, far from it. I'm tickled. If you'll excuse my French, I'm beaucoup delighted I am.
We sit a little, yes?
Oh, yes, we do. Sit. Allow me. There. Now, tell me, Francois.
Yes, my sweet.
Well, why didn't you send me a photograph of yourself? I would have known what to expect.
It is because the only picture I have of me is in a bikini, and I think perhaps you think the wrong things.
Oh, you're probably right. After all, oh dear. I'm only human.
I know I'm going to be so happy with my Harry.
Yeah.
We must be married very quickly.
Good idea. I'll ask the vicar to do the shortened service. But there's something that I'm dying to ask you. Why does someone like you want to marry someone like me?
It is because I fall in love with your letters. They are so masterful.
Yeah, well, I do tend to use a lot of block capitals.
The journey from Paris, it has been, how you say, arduous.
Yeah, well, that's how we say it, arduous.
I think I should like to go to bed.
Yeah. Look, I hope you won't mind, but until we've made all the wedding arrangements, I fixed for you to stay with the best man.
Oh, you fixed with me to stay with you?
No, I'm not the best man, no. Not with me.
My Harry is too modest.
Yes, possibly so, but at the wedding, the best man will be a friend of mine called David.
But I know best, and the best man must be the man I marry.
Yes, look, I know what you're getting. I don't think I don't appreciate your confidence. But at the wedding, the best man will be my friend.
But I don't want to marry your friend. I want to marry my Harry.
And you will marry your Harry. Look, don't worry your head about. Let me take you to where you're staying.
Ah, that is good.
Yes.
But first I must send a telegram to Paris to let them know where to send my luggage.
Well, leave it to me because there's a post office just round the corner from David.
Who is this David?
Well, David is a friend of mine, and I'd better explain so you won't get confused. I must warn you. He thinks he's the best man.
Oh, silly boy.
Yes.
Did you actually agree to it? That's what I want to know. Why did you?
I did not agree to it. I suggested it. Now, will you please stop behaving like a spoilt child?
May I remind you, an Englishman's home is his castle. It's not a doss house for French refugees.
Will you kindly get out of my way?
I will not get out of your way.
Then perhaps you'll make yourself useful and see who's at the door.
Sorry we're late, David, but we had to go round to the post office to send a cable to Paris. And what a carry-on that was. The poor man behind the counter, he didn't understand a word I was saying. Why, I don't know. But between Francois' French and my English, we managed to get the message across. And then, David, the introduction. David, Francois, David.
Hello.
Hey, David, just a minute, I haven't got that for you.
You're coming to our wedding?
Oh, yes, rather. I'm going to be the best man.
We shall see.
Yes, we shall. Shall we go through, or have you got visitors?
Oh, no, come through. It's a joy to see you.
Ah, thank you very much.
Darling, come and say hello to Francois. Do sit down, make yourself thoroughly at home.
Thank you.
You must have had a simply terrible journey.
No, we managed to get a taxi from Victoria. Ah, Sheila, come and meet my better half-to-be.
How do you?
Do.
Aren't we all?
I hope it won't put you in a tiz, Sheila, but Francois would rather like to go to bed. Bed. Yes.
It has crossed my mind, Harry. Our back room is just a little bit noisy being on the front, and I wondered if Francoise might not prefer to stay at the Belvedere. Well, sitting round the corner.
Nonsense, darling. Couldn't be anything like so convenient.
For whom?
Well, for me, really. I thought I'd stay at the Belvedere. Now, if we two came down to breakfast together, it doesn't take much to start the tongues wagging.
I'm sure there should be no trouble.
You won't. I'll show you to your bedroom.
Yeah. I can show her to her bedroom.
I'll carry her case.
I'll carry her case.
I can carry her case. This way.
Wait for me, my Harry.
With bated breath.
Oh, my chérie. Every minute will be an eternity.
Sorry about that, David. Perhaps it's an old French custom.
Well, she's an absolute cracker.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you approve. You don't think she's too flashy or anything?
There's only one mystery in all this business, and I don't wish to offend, but how on earth did she come to pick you?
Well, no mystery about that, David. I'm the one who wrote the letters.
You must admit you're not exactly the pick of the season.
I don't know. I'm not too bad for the time of the year. Have you seen me without my glasses on? Who knows, beneath these wrinkles there may be a second Tom Jones. Have you heard me sing? Aye, Delilah, da-da-dee-dee-dee-dee. Aye, Delilah, da-da-dee-dee-dee-dee.
No, I'm sorry, Harry, but if I live to be 1,000, I shall never understand why a dolly bird like Francois should want to marry a, well, I've got to say it, a stuffed old crow like you.
Now, really, David, I'm not looking for flattery. I think you're doing me an injustice. I'll have you know that Francoise isn't the first girl whose head I've turned. Oh, no, as a matter of fact, I came very close to marrying Miss Nylon Fibre of 1953.
Really?
It's only because I wouldn't wear a nylon undervest that she broke it off. And the irony of it is, I never wear anything else these days.
Excuse me.
And then there's Susan Palmer. Lovely girl, I could have married her. If you wouldn't have me.
Good afternoon. I hope I'm not too late.
That rather depends on what you've come for.
Oh, I'm assuming you wish me to bring comfort to some ailing member of your family. The message said it was a matter of life and death. It is Mr. Worth, isn't it?
Oh, no, he's not a relative. He's more an ailing friend. I wonder if I could ask you could excuse me for a moment.
Certainly.
Are you wondering, David, how many bridesmaids should we have?
Bridesmaids aren't your problem. However, parsons are, and one has just arrived.
Oh, good. I did manage to go round to the vicarage on my way to the station. There was no one in, so I popped a note under the door saying it was urgent. I gave your address. Is that all right?
It's all right by me, but you can't have clergymen running around like that. After all, it is the Church of England, you know, not rent-a-vicar.
I didn't want to be a nuisance. I thought they might be glad of the business.
Well, you better have a word with him. He's come to give the last rites.
It's a bit early, isn't it? Let me have a little word with him. No. Ah, good afternoon, Harry Worth. Nice
Good
to meet you.
afternoon.
Now, I'm afraid there's been a rather unfortunate mistake. I'm getting married.
I see, so there is no sickness then.
No, we're both fighting fit. By the way, you do weddings, don't you?
I officiate at the solemnization of marriages.
And that's even better. Can we complete the details while you're here?
Well, to be frank with you, Mr. Worth, intending participants to matrimony are expected to contact the vicar personally. I am only his curate.
Ah, surely he can trust you. Come on through. I'll tell you what we have in mind. Do sit down.
Thank you. When exactly did you want to get married, Mr. Worth?
Well, it's more or less up to you. How about the day after tomorrow?
It's quite out of the question. One could never arrange a wedding at such short notice.
No, quite right. You never get the cake iced. How about Thursday?
Mr. Worth, one has to allow 3 weeks for the banns to be read.
Oh, really? We don't want a big affair. No unnecessary trappings.
I think I'd better make a note of this and have a word with the vicar. Is the bride a spinster?
I sincerely hope so. You know, I've never asked her. Would you like a word with her yourself?
Oh, well, if she is here, it might help.
Just a moment. Sheila, are you there?
Yes?
Do you think Francoise will come down and have a word with the curate?
Just a minute, I'll ask.
She's a very nice girl, you know. You'll like her. She's French. But none of that ooh-la-la or anything like that.
Are you both of the same persuasion?
I don't think we need persuading. In fact, I'll let you into a secret. I'm rather keen.
Mr. Worth, I am talking about religious faith.
Are you really? When? You know, I'd love to come along and hear you.
Perhaps I'm not expressing myself clearly.
No one could level that complaint against you. I've heard every word you've said perfectly.
You wanted me, my love?
Yes, well, come and meet the... The curate would like you ask you...
What is it you wish to know?
Well, I think there's one or two things we ought to get quite clear. This is the young lady you intend to marry.
Oh, yes.
I see. And she has agreed to marry you.
Oh, yes.
I see.
And similarly, of course, I have agreed to marry her.
So we can be quite clear on that point. You, mademoiselle, you wish to enter into a state of matrimony with this man here?
But of course.
Do either of you know of any just cause or impediment why you should not be married?
Is this a catch question?
No, it's very important that you should tell me now if there's any reason at all why you shouldn't be married.
Well, I can't think of one, can you?
There is no reason.
I think I snore rather loudly, if that counts.
No, that's not a valid reason, but all the same, I think perhaps you should have a word with the vicar himself.
Do you think he might know of one?
No, but with the young lady being a French national, and especially if you wish to be married by special license, shall we say tomorrow, after morning service?
Yes, what time does he have his 11 cents?
About 12.
Good, I'll be there.
Right. Don't bother to get up. I'll see myself out. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I don't care what you say, David. I'm not having that woman in my house a moment longer.
Well, of course, if you can't stand a little healthy competition.
Oh, I won't deny I've had my eyes opened. You've done nothing but make up to her for the last 3 days.
Nonsense. I've simply been trying to find out the real reason why she's so struck on Harry. Do you know she was on the verge of marrying a French nobleman?
Well, why didn't she then?
Ah, thereby hangs a tale. He wanted her to live in his mother's Norman castle. She wouldn't. They had a fearful row, and Harry caught her on the rebound.
When did she tell you all this?
Just now, when I took her breakfast tray in.
I didn't know you'd taken in her breakfast tray.
But, darling, I have to. She's our guest. This will be the blushing groom.
Morning, David.
Morning.
Now, David, I want your honest opinion, and I am relying on you to tell me the truth. Now, what do you think? David, don't be afraid to say... Don't be afraid to say I look ridiculous.
You look ridiculous.
You're not just saying that.
I have just said it, and what's more, I meant it.
It's the only one they could lend me.
You did tell them it wasn't a fancy dress ball.
Yes, and the trousers fit beautifully if I turn the bottoms up.
Bonjour.
Monsieur Harryworth?
No, he's in there.
Ah, merci. Monsieur, I'm the Comte Henri Jacques Napoleon Georges Vert de Vert. My card.
Ah. Are you by any chance one of the in-laws?
Monsieur, I have the honor to be the fiancé of Mademoiselle Françoise Lamont.
My word, there's a coincidence, so have I.
Monsieur, you have slighted the good name of my family in that you have affection with the trifles of the woman I love.
Ooh, that hurt.
I have the honor to challenge you to a duel tomorrow at dawn. You will choose your weapons, and I will meet you on the heath of the Hampstead. Au revoir, monsieur. Bonjour, monsieur.
Ah, good morning. Big change in the weather.
Please select your weapon.
Yes, delighted. Monsieur?
Ah, merci, monsieur. My favorite poignard.
All set? Monsieur, would you mind using this one?
Delighted.
Ready when you are.
Oh.
Harry, are you sure you know what you're doing?
It's no good, David. I have been blinded by the love of a good woman. Do you still wish to be my second?
Yes, I suppose so.
Right. Would you mind going first?
Stop! Harry! Harry! You are so brave, but I cannot let you do this for me. I must marry the Count.
Marry the Count?
Sorry, but I changed my mind.
Well, I suppose it's a woman's privilege.
Oh, my poor Harry. Are you heartbroken?
Well, perhaps it's just as well. I could never see myself eating those frog's legs.
You're a man of honor, sir. I salute you.
Thank you very much. Now, just one thing. When you marry Francoise, I insist on being the best man.
The best man? Never!
But I insist.
Never!
Oh, well, if that's the way you feel about it.
Oh, my God!
Touch of rheumatism. Oh, no!